The city is silent now, but not in the way you remember. This isn't the peaceful quiet of a Sunday morning, or the calm after a snowfall. This is the silence of abandonment, the eerie stillness that comes when 7 million people either fled or didn't make it. The infrastructure collapsed 6 weeks ago. No power, no water pressure, no emergency services. The grocery stores were gutted in 72 hours, and now the only people left are the ones who couldn't leave and the ones who chose to stay. You're in the second category, and that makes you either very smart or very dead. The difference comes down to one thing: can you move through this urban wasteland without being seen, heard, or tracked? Because in a world where resources are scarce and desperation is the currency, the loudest person is the first casualty. Let's be clear about the physics of sound. Every footstep you take creates a pressure wave that travels through air and solid materials at roughly 343 meters per second. That sound wave carries information, distance, direction, and intent. In the dense acoustic environment of a collapsed city, sound doesn't just disappear. It bounces off concrete, funnels through alleyways, and announces your presence to anyone within a 200-meter radius. If you're careless, the science here is unforgiving. Hard-soled boots on asphalt. That's a percussive impact creating frequencies between 1 and 4 kilohertz. Exactly the range human ears are evolutionarily tuned to detect as potential threats. Fabric rustling against itself. High-frequency noise that cuts through ambient sound like a signal flare. You're breathing when you're stressed. It's irregular, loud, and broadcasts panic. This isn't about being paranoid. This is about understanding that in a post-collapse environment, acoustic signature is survival currency, and most people are bankrupt. Start with your feet, because that's where most people fail immediately. Forget your tactical boots. Forget your hiking shoes. Forget anything with a defined heel or rigid sole. What you need is something that gives you tactile feedback from the ground, something that lets you feel what you're about to step on before you commit your full weight. Modified approach shoes with thin, flexible rubber soles are your foundation. But here's the critical modification. You need to add a layer of closed-cell foam to the interior. Not for comfort, but for gait modification. This forces you into a rolling step, heel to toe, distributing your weight gradually rather than dropping it all at once. The difference in decibel output is dramatic. We're talking about a reduction from 65 decibels down to 35, which is the difference between being heard from across a city block versus being heard from 3 meters away. And you need to practice this religiously. Your natural gait is optimized for efficiency on flat, predictable surfaces. The urban ruins are neither flat nor predictable. You need to retrain your proprioception, the body's sense of position and movement, to navigate broken glass, loose rubble, and metal debris without looking down constantly, because looking down means you're not watching for threats. Your clothing is the second critical failure point. Cotton is a death sentence. When cotton gets wet from sweat, rain, or condensation, it absorbs water and becomes heavier, colder, and louder. Every movement creates a wet slapping sound that carries. What you need is a specific layering system, a base layer of merino wool for moisture management, a middle layer of soft-shell synthetic that doesn't rustle, and an outer layer of tightly woven ripstop that has been washed repeatedly to break down the fabric's stiffness. But here's the detail most people miss. You need to modify every piece of clothing by removing all hardpoints, zippers, buttons, D-rings, anything metal that can clink, reflect light, or snag on debris. Replace them with paracord loops and toggles made from polymer. Your pockets need to be secured with Velcro that has been dampened with silicone spray to reduce the ripping sound. And everything, absolutely everything, needs to be in matte earth tones that match the specific environment you're moving through. Urban gray for concrete zones. Rust brown for industrial areas. This isn't fashion. This is optical camouflage based on the human eye's reliance on contrast and movement to detect threats. Now we get into tools, the specific equipment that separates someone who's just hiding from someone who's operating. First item, a genuine suppressed air rifle, not a toy, but a precision pneumatic weapon, firing lead pellets at subsonic velocities. This gives you the ability to procure food, small game, pigeons, rats, without the acoustic signature of a firearm. The sound of a suppressed air rifle at 20 meters is comparable to a book dropping on carpet. It's a tool that extends your operational range without compromising your position. Second, a quality pair of night vision optics, preferably Generation 3 if you can source them. The human eye is nearly useless in true darkness, but NVGs give you the ability to move during the hours when most people are blind, effectively doubling your operational time. Third, and this is non-negotiable, a set of climbing equipment, specifically a harness, rope, and a manors. The ground level is where everyone operates, which makes it the most dangerous terrain. Your advantage is vertical movement, accessing buildings through upper floors, crossing between structures using rope bridges, moving through a three-dimensional environment while others are stuck on a two-dimensional plane. Here's where it gets psychologically brutal, and this is where most people break even if they have the right equipment. The human nervous system is wired for social interaction, for communication, for the comfort of other people. In a hostile urban environment, every instinct you have is wrong. You want to call out when you hear something. You want to investigate strange sounds. You want to help people who seem injured or in distress. These instincts will get you killed or worse. The psychological edge in stealth movement is about rewiring your threat assessment from social to predatory. You need to think like an apex predator, patient, calculating, willing to wait hours for the right moment to move. This means developing the ability to remain motionless for extended periods. Controlling your breathing, suppressing the urge to shift your weight or scratch an itch. It means training yourself to interpret sounds not as curiosities, but as threat vectors. That distant shouting, not your problem. That sound of breaking glass, not your concern, unless it's within your immediate security perimeter. The most dangerous thing you can do is investigate, because investigation creates patterns. Patterns create predictability, and predictability gets you compromised. Fourth tool, a genuine ghillie suit, but not the military version. You need an urban ghillie, constructed from strips of fabric in gray, black, and brown that match demolished buildings. This breaks up your human outline and makes you virtually invisible when you're stationary against rubble. Fifth, a set of lockpicks and bypass tools. Doors are noise amplifiers and potential traps. Your ability to silently defeat locks, padlocks, and basic security systems gives you access routes that others don't have. Sixth, a quality LED headlamp with a red filter. Red light preserves your night vision while providing enough illumination for close work. Seventh, and this is the piece that most people never consider, a sound amplification device, essentially electronic ear protection in reverse. This lets you hear approaching threats from much farther away than your natural hearing allows. It's not about making noise. It's about detecting noise before the noise detects you. The final warning is this: stealth is not a skill you acquire from reading or watching. It's a physical practice that requires hundreds of hours of deliberate training in realistic environments. Every person who thinks they'll figure it out when the time comes is already dead in the scenario that matters. The survivors won't be the strongest or the best armed. They'll be the ones who learn to move like shadows through a world that's hunting them, who understood that silence is survival, and who prepared their bodies and minds for the brutal reality that in a collapsed society the invisible inherit what's left of the earth. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.